Welcome to now a straightforward talk again after this funny lightning talks. Why should database people care about Kafka and Debezium? And as we are here on a Postgres conference, I would say why Postgres people should care about. So about me, my name is Dirk. My last name Krautschick is difficult to pronounce, as we can see, but it's fine. I'm with Ivan since almost 1.5 years now. I'm doing databases as a DBA, trainer, consultant, sales engineer now, solution architect with Ivan. It's probably almost the same for everything. First with Oracle. I have a dark history, as most of you know. And then with Postgres, and now with Ivan, I'm doing also a little bit Kafka, ClickHouse, OpenSearch, and all this kind of stuff. Some private stuff, if you want to need some icebreaker topics, if you want to talk to me outside, I would. As we have talked a lot about communities, I'm also organizer of the Postgres North Rhine-Westphalia. If any German attendee is here, so maybe it's interesting for you, as we also are in the border area often for Belgium and Netherlands. So we are also making meetups there. For instance, we did a meetup in Aachen or Aix La Chapelle in the past in English. So just I want to announce it here that it's a real thing. So that if you are interested, scan the QR code and have a look. Short disclaimer. I'm not a Kafka or streaming guru. I'm just a database guy. So who would consider himself here as a DBA? Developer? Okay. Something else? Sales? I don't know. You know, I'm a DBA. I'm not a coder. I used to code a little bit, but I'm not a full-stack programmer. And also not doing Kafka or anything like this as my full-time job. And so I describe it here for people who doesn't know anything about this. So even a little bit database knowledge would be nice, but that's it. Everything what I'm showing here is unexceptional open source. So there's no proprietary stuff or something in it. Even when I'm telling a little bit about Ivan, it's not mean to be advertising, but it's still highly recommended to use Ivan for first steps as well, right? I will explain everything later. Everything what you see here, every line of code, every command, all the things I'm doing here, I will provide a GitHub link where you can find every listing and so on if you want to try for your own. So you don't need to make pictures. Even the slides are on this GitHub page. So you only need one QR code today, right? So as a motivation, you know, like I said, I was a DBA, and being a DBA, I had only, you know, my server, my database, my responsibility, my Dune, right, or whatever. Okay. I didn't care about anything around me. So that was my world. So that is what my comfort zone looked like in the past, right? So I was a DBA. I would have to take care about clients, databases, application servers, communicating with one database. In the past, Oracle, then later Postgres, and then both, and whatsoever. But now it's different, right? It's not working out anymore. So we have not only this one database solution in place in your stack, you have a lot of different things. You have to do migrations, you have to do data pipelining, everything, you know, that is how it looked like today. Of course, then there are ideas, maybe, I don't know if you can read it, there are databases trying to put everything in one thing. You could try it, but I don't know. So my motivation was changing my mindset completely. So not thinking about the clients, the application servers anymore. The whole database administrator role is changing lately. Everyone recognizes this. You have to take care about cloud offerings. You have scaling challenges. You have way different database types and use cases. Everything has to be in real time and processed and communicated with everywhere. So it is really way different today. So we have to rethink everything. But, right, I am a Postgres guy now. Of course, I try to do everything with Postgres. Again, like the slide before. And you know, in some point, it worked. But not always perfect. So if you want to stick with Postgres, you could achieve a lot, right? With extensions, with foreign data wrappers, with cool interfaces, with logical replication, whatever. There are many ways, but it's almost not perfect because if you try it with one thing, it will suffer in some case, and you have performance troubles and anything. So we have to get a different or better solution. So as I joined Ivan, there was a portal to heaven open for me, and they mentioned you have to think about a different thing, not only databases, you have to think about streaming. So you have to decouple the communication, you have to think about real-time processing during this streaming part, you have to think about queuing and change data capture capabilities, all this kind of stuff. You have to think about this. So, and it has to be scalable at all, right? And the solution was distributed event streaming. So what is that? There was a thing which is called Kafka. Not this guy, that one, right? Kafka is a solution out there doing actually that, right? Having an event streaming solution in place, being open source, which is important for this conference and with, always. And, it's a solution out there. It was started by LinkedIn, funny, right? And since 2012, it's open source by the Apache license. And think about this. 15 years ago, so I'm only doing this fancy new stuff here, right? So I was really surprised that, okay, Kafka is really that old? Okay, not the guy, he is, but this one as well. So, a new version, the link to the GitHub repository, but you will find it anyway. You can download it. A new version 4 is almost there. It's based on Java and Scale. So that is my usual slide I present always when I show something like an extension or something, or some product, some software tooling or some this. You see in the GitHub picture that it is actually highly developed right now. So there's activity. So it's not a solution which is not supported or used anymore. And Kafka is actually this first to having event streaming. So now think about the naming: events, messages, queues. Or also streaming. There's streaming, there's Oracle streams, which is basically logical replication in the past. Postgres streaming replication, which is physical replication. We have to be careful with the terms. So event streaming is the right naming for Kafka, right? What we are showing right now. But it has nothing to do with stream replication or something like this. Also be careful with the idea of the wording here, right? And also you have to be careful when you talking to straightforward Kafka freaks. Don't tell them about kind of queuing or message queuing or something like this. They will say some bad words to you. So it's different thing. So what streaming is, it's basically we are sending small events, which is basically a piece of text. It could be a piece of JSON code or a key value pair, whatsoever, maybe with a timestamp or not, with some keys. That is mostly small information pieces, but it can also get bigger. And we are streaming that in some kind of, it's not queuing, but we put it in kind of pipelines, right? So these pipelines or queues or whatsoever are called topics. So that is just basic stuff, that you understand how Kafka is working, how the nomenclature is here. Topics are basically the pieces where the events get put in by the Kafka server. So physically, it's just folders in the file system. So you will see that later. I will do some demos later where I show you everything. So and it's just for getting organized, right? And then there's also kind of partitions. Kafka is really, I mentioned, scale at all, right? Kafka is also can be distributed on several nodes, several servers. So it's really scalable. So we have also partitions where you can actually distribute a topic with many, many events on several nodes to have this scaling capability in place. So what do you need for Kafka is actually only Java. To be honest, I had no, not 15 minutes, right? 25 to 50. Okay. Yeah. So I mentioned the Java version in the past, but that was not proper because there were differences between Debezium and anything. Just have a proper actual Java version in place, then you're good. Then we have two components, Craft and Zookeeper. Zookeeper is the old part which you have to start to control the whole cluster. So there are several nodes and so on. With version 4, Zookeeper is deprecated, and Kafka has an own controller included, so it will change. It will not change from the usage part, but just to keep in mind that there are two things in place. And you have finally the Kafka broker, which is actually the instance of a Kafka cluster, right? So every node is kind of a broker, right? And you have the data layer in place where the events got placed in the directories on the file system. So that is how it looks like as a nicer picture. You have the topics, which is the pipes where you just put in the events. You know, you have here the messages, and there's two sides: the producer side and the consumer side. So if you put a message in the broker, that will be done by a producer, and to consume or to get out the messages, it's not deleting the messages, it's just getting out the messages as you wish with an offset or all of them or just one, as you wish, is done by the consumer. That is the most easiest schema in Kafka. So you have several topics. You can define it based on your usage, your idea of your topic idea, and so on. And that's basically it. So I have an example how to create some Python snippets to consume and produce if you have a Kafka cluster in place. But that's just an example. I will show you how to easy test your Kafka cluster as well. You can also have, that is basically Ivan, you know, but I showed you because you can see a message which is represented here by the scripts I mentioned before. Just X and Y parameter and some timestamp, and that is how it's visible in the Kafka cluster itself. So you can have a topic viewer in the Ivan platform where you can just dig around. Some things you have to know is about the messages can have several formats. So for instance, there's Avro, which is the recommended part because less overhead and so on. You have also can do plain JSON, or there's also protobuf. There's also a component you have keep in mind because all the data in these events are not organized. So you can just write plain text in it, and you can also define a schema registry where you can actually store in the Kafka cluster some metadata about the actual content in your messages. Not dig too deeply, it's just keep in mind if you start using Kafka a bit, just remember these components. If you dig deeper, you will recognize them. So, quick start. Kafka has a really cool learning curve, so the installation is basically download it and extract, and yeah, that's it. So get the latest version, download it, and you have it installed if you want to say installing this like this, but it's just downloading it. So you have to not configure at all, you can just start it then. These are the two ways. I will show you the Zookeeper way in the demo later. And there's the craft way, you know, that's basically it. In Zookeeper, you have to start the Zookeeper instance first, and then each broker itself. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that is, you can just use this line of code. That is not, it's a little bit complicated, but if you will read it, it's straightforward. So, and then you can create topics, you can list topics, you can produce and consume, but that I will more easily show you, hopefully. So, I have, that is basically one node, but represented in several shell windows, right, to show you everything. So, and I have prepared some snippets, so don't wonder that there will be magically appearing commands here. That's basically what you have seen. So that is basically the start of the Zookeeper, right? On the top. I hope I have checked it. I think everyone can read it. But at the end, you don't have to read it. It's just putting some log stuff here. And now I start the Kafka cluster. It's basically, in this case, one broker on the same node, right? Where is it? Start Kafka. Paste, like here. This is the default parameters. I haven't changed any parameter yet, so I'm just using default stuff. If that is what you get when you just have downloaded and extracted it. I just show you this, that you believe me. You see, that is basically a downloaded Kafka, extracted, Debezium extracted, and the other things are just my GitHub files. So, and again, start Kafka. So hopefully, if my VMs are not broken, so now we have a running Kafka cluster. So that's it. Now I go to my client thing here, and you can just, of course, you can use Python scripts and everything what you have seen before, but I have there's also the way that you can use per command line producing and consuming something. Move to easy show everything. First, I will show you that I have, this is always like this Kafka topics sh, and then you have some parameters that I have no topics. Maybe I have some. Okay, I have some. Now I delete all topics, which I should have done before the talk. So, which is not working. Maybe I did a mistake. This is live. Okay, I know what's happening. Then let me just go back. Delete all topics. Okay, I don't care, right? I think I have a line break in my snippet here. I always do my demos live, so there's no fancy stuff going on here. So, yes, that looks better. Now I have deleted all my topics so that I will show you again. These topics, paste, so no topics, right? Now I create a topic. I call it beer, because I like beer. So, right now I can go back again. List topics. So, and now it's just an empty topic, and as I can show you, it's basically that is the folder where all the data of all the topics and everything is stored, and you just will see somewhere here a folder beer with some other stuff, and in here you will find the messages. So it's actually as this simple, right? A friend of mine working at Confluent, I asked him why is Kafka so scalable and so fast and he just mentioned to me because it's actually stupid. It's just doing files and it's easy. There's no complicated stuff going on. Well, again, it was a guy from Confluent. And okay, now I have created the topic, and now I can consume and produce. That is basically, again, all commands are in the GitHub. I will show later. Produce topic. So run. I prepared the command, right? And I put here down the consume topic command. So that is basically running now. And you can just enter now beers, like F, it will appear down, Erdinger, right, Guinness, whatsoever, right? Now that's just plain text. Everything is a message. You can put JSON files now in there and everything. So that's Kafka 101, right? So easy. So there's no bells and whistles. You have to not configure something. Of course you can, but for a first start, you can easily set up your Kafka cluster, but that is actually not useful right now. Of course, BS is useful, but just to give you a first hint, and you can just we go back to the slides. Hopefully, I will get in time. So now we have to put the bridge to databases, right? So we have this picture. Okay, we have seen this, we can produce, consume, and how can we connect with our databases now? There is another piece which is called Kafka Connect, which is basically Kafka, another feature from Kafka. So it's not like that you have to download now Kafka Connect. It's delivered with Kafka, but you can run it as a separate instance or run it all at once in one Kafka cluster, right? So, and Kafka Connect is basically an API, a framework for communicating with other stuff. It must not be database. It can also be a 3 bucket or whatsoever. So it's basically a container for connectors for several things. S3, Oracle, Postgres, and so on. And so you can run it standalone or distributed if you want to have a separate node. And you have always this names like source and sink, which basically is the source and target, right? Sink is just loading off the data somewhere else, and source is getting the data out of the database. You have several things going on. You can do it query-based approaches. There are SQL, there's a JDBC source and sink connector, but there's also the way that we can use the logical decoding part out of Postgres to get the bridge to Postgres right now. And this is where Debezium came in. So Debezium is one of those connectors getting contained by Kafka Connect. Also, Debezium is not only Postgres, it's also plenty of Debezium connectors for MySQL, for whatsoever, right? You will find plenty of those. But Debezium is basically just a framework or a collection of connectors based for Kafka Connect. So it's also Java-based, and you know the same slide. You can read it later. So that is actually the Postgres Debezium connector is a go-to solution right now to change data capture out of Postgres, in my opinion. And that is how it looks like. You can also combine it. You can use one Kafka instance, a Kafka Connect instance, to host one connector or plenty of connectors in the same. It's just a framework, and then you can start connectors in between. So there you have the logical decoding API in the Debezium. You have a sync connector for JDBC. You have a REST API to control everything. There's also a connector for Oracle if you want to migrate out of Oracle. Just keep in mind. So that again, the logical replication part is based on publication subscription. The same requirements for this is the same like with logical replication. So you have to have a replica identity or a primary key somewhere. So if not, it's not going to work. There's even possible to have single message transformation, SMTs. You can actually manipulate the data during this streaming process, right? So that is even possible. So, and they have several decoding plugins. I use pg_output, which is the default with Postgres. There's also decoder buffs. I never know why and how is it useful. No one could tell me it yet. But keep in mind that you have several ways to decode the part out of Postgres, right? So again, quick start. It's just downloading it and extract it, and you have to make one parameter change in your Kafka Connect configuration, where you just give the path where you have extracted the Debezium connector or any connector, right? So that's it. And then you can start Kafka Connect again as a standalone or somewhere else or with several connectors. I use it here as a standalone example, and of course, the only thing on your database side is you have to get val level to logical if you don't have it already. So that is important to know. If you want to do logical decoding, you need to get val level to logical. Makes sense, right? So again, another demo. I hope that I'm still on time, but I guess so. So we have our running Kafka cluster. It's still here. I stop this here because that is just the client. You know, still, the Kafka cluster is still in place. So I won't touch it. It just can run because my CDC part will create topics and put the messages out of Postgres in there, right? So now I will open, I have a Postgres installed here, just easy, simple. Okay, there is no table view yet. So, and now I have to start the Kafka Connect cluster first, right? So I have it already lying around. You have seen it. Yeah, come on. So here's my Kafka, and here's also my Debezium connector. The Postgres connector is extracted here, somewhere in there, right? So that's not wondering that's a MySQL connector. I did several other things with this in the past. So you can believe me, it's installed here. So Kafka, and I will start the Kafka Connect, which is basically like I mentioned in the slides or in the GitHub. So now the Kafka Connect cluster is running. That's basically just another instance of Kafka with other parameters, and now it's waiting for give me a connector or something. One connector, several connectors. You know, we can also scale it to several nodes as you wish. So to create a connector, I use the REST API, and oh shit, I have to do it here. Hopefully that won't break it. So it's basically a call command. If you are used to Debezium already, you will recognize also this. You know, that is basically the parameterization. It's very easy. This is a straightforward Postgres CDC for local hosts. You know, it's running here. Everything is default. I'm just using one table. You can also get all tables, or you can make a selection of tables. You can make a snapshot in the beginning, whatsoever, right? So that is, you can configure everything. That is a simple example. Configuring Debezium could be really pain in the ass, you know, but there's so many parameters in place, but it's a lot of trial and error, but that is a straightforward working thing. And now I'm hopefully, so let's see how it works. So, okay, I just activated the connector now with the parameters that you have seen here. And we make it here clear. And now I start here now the consumer, that you can see that what's happening here. Clear. So I just want to, I will make some Postgres changes, some tables, inserts and so on, and you will see in the upper window, you will see that there's the messages will come in. And first I want to show you, no, let me just start the consumer first. So run. No, there. Run. That was bullshit. So, wait. That is the wrong topic. So, let me just list the topic again. List. So you will see there is no table beer yet. That is our topic which we created manually. Now, in Postgres, I will create a table beer, and so this is a really simple table, right? Just and now you will see, not yet. Okay, I know why. Creating the table is not enough. I have to insert at least one beer. Because, you know, it's Postgres, right? So I will insert some beers, right? You see here, right? And now you will recognize there is a new topic, CDC public beer. CDC is a prefix I have configured in the Debezium connector config with what I sent with curl, and this public is, of course, because it's a public schema, and then the table beer. So if I now consume the CDC public beer topic, CDC public beer, now, you know, it will be a lot of stuff, right? So it's just like this, you know, it's easy to, not easy to read, but it's for the console, it's just a lot of stuff. But believe me, that is information you need for the CDC part. I will show you later on the Ivan console, this is more easy then. So everything what I'm doing now here will appear as well, like some updates, you know, and that's it. Postgres, Debezium, CDC in 10 minutes, right? So it's not that difficult to have a start here. To give you an impression how the messages look like, you know, more easy readable, let's go to the, in Ivan we have a service topic viewer, and they have done some Also the beer, right? I'm totally into beer, you see, right? So and then I can show you how the messages will look like in a more easy way to read. So just giving here one example, right? That is each row is an event, and you will see here kind of before and after. I hope you can read it, right? If you make an update, you will also see in before what was changed. Actually, a lot of metadata, right? Timestamps and so on. And even there could be more, depending on how you have configured Debezium, right? So yeah, I think I got. So that's basically it. So you can also, you know, as the connector has a REST API, you can also check something like here, it's a Debezium connector. Just a test that the connector is actually running, right? There are other REST API commands, you can check it out, but you can also use this interface to make debugging or check something, what's going on and so on. So let's go back to the slides then. Yeah, that is basically, I have all the commands in the slides and as well in the GitHub. So that is the connector config. So there's also a way that you can prepare a JSON file or something like this and use all the configuration and create a connector with this file. You don't have to fiddle down this curl command, you know, but for this time it was more easy to show. That is an easy example. As you can see, it's just some metadata in front, and you choose the connector, and then database host, port, password, username. You can choose the tables. You can create a different prefix. I choose CDC. You can change the plugin. What I mentioned, I use PG output, protobuf, I don't know. And there's even way more stuff you can do. You can use the schema registry to also transfer the information of the table in the schema so that you can also transport the structure of the table also in the same topics. So there's a lot of more what you can do, right? And if you're interested, you can also contact me. But to have a first step in this area, that is the way I would recommend it, to see, okay, it's working, and then you can build on this, trying more things. That is the example. Again, that is basically my backup if the demo is not working. So you see that something happening here. And yeah, that's the most important things what you should know for today. There are some additional things I want to show you. Because Kafka is nice, Kafka is scalable, and you know, you can also have several nodes on the same place, and it's fine. But what happens when this whole cluster is you know, crashing? So even, you know, for me as a database guy, that was one of my first questions I had. You know, that's nice, but you know, it's not like disaster recovery capable. And you know, there's a different thing between scaling and actual being high available, right? So if you're thinking about really outages and so on. And also for this, Kafka has a solution in place, which is called Mirror Maker 2. I don't know what one was, even like Pablo said, I don't know. The actual thing is Mirror Maker 2, that's the name. And you can create a full or partially replication of Kafka, which is basically also nothing else like consuming everything and producing it in another Kafka cluster as well. But it's you know, not like having this as a client. It's more like having a disaster recovery solution or a distribution way as well, right? If you want to just having one topic replicated to another cluster for whatever reason, it's also be there, right? So, and there's even more that I want to go through fast, so I can round up, I guess. I mentioned that you can use with Debezium SMTs as simple message transformation or single message transformation. So you can actually take the events and do stuff with it, and then letting those consumed by somewhere else. So not making some kind of changes in the database first and then sending it. So it's way faster to prevent this batch processing stuff and just doing this in real time on the events itself. The possibilities with the SMTs are somehow limited. There are plenty of things, but there's another solution, yes, like Flink, being able, as a separate piece of software, being able to doing real-time processing in the topics itself. So that is basically it, right? I don't want to say it a lot of things because Flink gets way too much for today. But I want to mention that you have at least heard one time that there's existing something if you want to do this. So it's basically manipulating the data with code, with SQL or anything. You can do a lot of things with it. And if you want to have a real proper data pipeline, that is a thing you should have a look on, right? So yeah, that's it. Basically, the same slide as before. It's also open source. It's not available on Ivan anymore. Different reasons, but will be maybe later again, I don't know. But it's still recommended to have a look on if you're having a use case which it's too much for using these SMTs from Debezium or any connector or Kafka itself, right? This SMT technology is not limited to Debezium, it's also available for Kafka. So keep in mind, you can do stuff with your events to prevent this all ETL stuff, right? So and now the whole Ivan offering makes sense to me, right? We have everything in place. I will only show you this because I don't want to make advertising. I just want to show you that everything what you have seen today is available, and not because I want to sell you, because I want to motivate you to try everything what I did here on our platform. Because you get get free credits in the first place. You don't have to put your credit card information there. You can just use the credits and that's it, right? And you can try it out. And the good thing is, everything what you have seen here is ready to go on my GitHub. The listing, so you can use it on premise. Everything what I've done now, you can just adapt from here. But I have also created a Terraform script which just creates everything in one step, and then you can play around with it, right? You will basically get this environment here, a Kafka, a Postgres, a Kafka Connect, right? In Kafka Connect, you will see the connector which is running here, right? Like this. So you can just easily adapt it, right? So and with this Terraform script, you can easily let it run 2 weeks or so and going nuts on this, right? So it's not advertising, it's just if you want to have a quick start using this, trying this out, you can do it this way, or you can go back on GitHub and also download Kafka and use it on a, what I showed you is just a Linux box where you can easily adapt it. Just install Java and download Kafka and Debezium and can do everything, and Postgres. And you can do everything on your own, right? That is the GitHub side. Okay, going back. So that is the link you need, right? The QR code you need, because everything is in there. Even the slides, not the latest version, but at least a few hours late. So, okay. You only have to change the values in the variable file, so the project name, and you have to create a token on Ivan. You will see that. And if you have questions, just contact me somewhere, LinkedIn, whatsoever, or ask me here, and I will help you. There are also ready-to-go containers for everything with Debezium and Kafka, or both. I think there's also combinations out there. I'm one of the rare guys that not like to use Docker containers. I like to understand it on scratch on my Linux box. I don't want to just fire up a container. So there is, for the people don't want to do this like this, but I never tried it, to be honest. Again, use case, conclusion. It's not migration. It's not a replication alternative, right? So if you want to do a migration from Postgres to Postgres or whatsoever, it's not the right thing, right? But if you think about migration or having an alternative way to logical replication, there are use cases which are pretty nice, which you can do, which makes you flexible. It's decoupled, so it's mostly not affecting your database, except you are having trouble with some delays in the WAL files, but it's the same with logical replication as well, right? Everything what logical replication is not good at, it will not be better with Debezium, right? Because it's the same basic, but at least you are a little bit more flexible. Yeah, thanks. It's very powerful. You are really fast. It's really easy to adapt. Kafka is starting small. You can scale it up as crazy, right? And you have seen, it's not that difficult to start with, right? I think everyone can adapt the commands quite easy if you have a running Linux box and you have a ready-to-go Kafka cluster to play around with. And I have seen many things going on. Even the one story I can share is there's even a customer who tries to get a multi-master replication from MySQL to MySQL, so making just the pipeline crossover. I talked about this morning. And they asked me if we can realize this with Debezium as well. I said, yeah, okay. If you have, there's no conflict handling, of course. You have to make sure that there's no conflicts with some unique IDs or whatsoever. You can prepare everything, then there's maybe a possibility to do this. But, it's very nasty, and I will go to DBA hell for this, right? But they did it. So I prepared everything, and it's running fine. So there are pretty interesting use cases out there doing this stuff. But the most interesting part is, of course, migration from other databases to another type of databases. Mostly, of course, Oracle to Postgres is interesting, which is very trendy lately. And also things like data pipelining to, for instance, ClickHouse, to having some of the data getting to an analytic database somewhere. So there are so many use cases, and you are really flexible on this. My recommendation is, like I had to do, right? I did actually get rid of old habits and try it. Give it a try. It's really funny to see how not complicated it is. It can get complicated, of course, but the first step is quite straightforward. That's it from my side. If you have questions, good, huh? Right on time, I guess. And yeah, you can meet me outside, or yeah, well, he's running with the microphone, of course. Thanks.